I'm not entirely certain how we got here. There are times when I feel like I went to sleep 7 or 8 years ago and woke up to find that our current political state has gone completely off the rails, that identity politics have been injected into every aspect of daily life, from education to government to healthcare to relationships to the environment to movies to music to video games and books and so on and so forth. The culture war has reached a frenetic point with the rise of social media platforms like TikTok in the last few years, giving voice to people who have made it their mission to act as insultingly effeminate as possible, despite a lot of physical features pointing to, well, the contrary. There are, of course, also the celebrities who seemed to have made it their mission to act as flagrantly effeminate as possible, despite not knowing who or what they are. And the ones who don't lecture to us about tolerance and acceptance to the point of bending over backwards to please a regime that will never be satisfied. Normally, I would use movies and books as an escape from such nonsense. However, I don't even have the luxury of that anymore. Over the last few years, all of my favorite characters, particularly the males, have been reduced to their basest forms in favor of a type of feminism that is arsenic to character development, story progression, and narrative staying power. Every single one of the heroes of my childhood and the ones that I have come to love over the years have either been made into incompetent weaklings who need the help of a female to get by, or else they have become humiliated until they have reached their lowest states so that a female can take the lead. Our male characters have been hamstrung, and I realize that I am beating a dead horse on this topic, but until it stops, until the trend dies out, mockery and scorn are the things that I will offer to it. It doesn't help that more fuel keeps being added to the fire with beloved characters like Indiana Jones being tossed on the altar of progressivism. I have talked about modern male characters being terrible, but I haven't really talked about why. Why is it that male characters and males in general have become weak, effeminate, humiliated, or else disregarded in favor of a woman who looks almost as much a man as they are? In order to at least partially answer this question, we're going to have to go back to 2017. A powerful man in Hollywood had just been revealed as a master puppeteer behind a string of sexual assaults, and to say that it rocked the entertainment industry would be a gross understatement. Over the coming months, more and more women would come forward with stories about their time spent in the company of this man and what he did to them and promised them in exchange for stardom. It was undeniably horrifying learning how far this man's reach extended, and I am firmly in the category that he should be locked up for the remainder of his life. And yet the revelations of Harvey Weinstein's actions have had farther-reaching consequences than I think any one of us could have foreseen. And everyone in his inner circle of celebrities, producers, and influencers seems to believe that the cure for the actions of one man, and of course others over the years, is to take a jarring left turn into a feminism that is more about humiliation of others than it ever was about empowerment. And so the first reason that I feel that masculinity is hated is quite simply fear. There is an inherent distaste amongst many people of the identity party that to demonstrate anything that is remotely masculine, qualities such as assertiveness, natural confidence, or even healthy forms of aggression or protectiveness are misogynistic and need to be shamed. The fear stems from a lack of understanding and what is perhaps an imperfect sense of self. One of the main reasons that fear is such a purveying part of modern life these days is because of an inability to understand things. If we don't understand that masculinity and misogyny are not the same things, then of course there will be a sense of unease towards the former. They don't understand concepts like healthy aggression or protectiveness towards one's partners or family members in a way that is not inherently toxic. Instead, the only base concepts that they can tie to a desire to protect or anger against an injustice are things like jealousy, domination, narcissism, and stubbornness. And in a way, this is kind of sad, because through the lack of understanding about healthy masculinity and the way that it can be executed, they develop unhealthy and untrue opinions about men and women alike. If masculinity is demonstrated in any form or in any part of a relationship, it is seen as domineering and controlling. And in a world where everyone is trying to be their truest selves, sometimes to the detriment of others, this is a terrifying thing. Being controlled is perhaps one of the things that humans fear most of all. A sense of free will being stripped away or autonomy denied is a great sin. And because there is little to no differentiation between the protectiveness and controlling behavior, it is simply best in their eyes to cut all of it out. If it cannot be understood, it is to be feared and shamed and shunned. It is important to know the definitions and complexities of words so that not only can opinions be formed, but widespread understanding can manifest. And yet this refusal to understand what healthy masculinity looks like has only opened doors for more people to be depressed because parts of human beings are being reduced, and many don't understand why it is not beneficial to do so. Masculinity and its expression is also considered by many to be a blatant form of sexism. It's as if by simply displaying qualities like ambition, strength, and leadership, a disrespect to women is somehow present. And a man simply cannot have those qualities if he is to continue existing in the modern world or in movies in general. Sexism has become one of the cardinal sins of the modern age, and yet, like my previous reasoning, no one really understands what it means anymore. Instead, it has become a word that is simply thrown around to justify or explain any sort of female disregard for masculinity, when in fact, the very definition of sexism is discrimination on the basis of one's sex. The exhibition of any of the previously stated qualities is anything but, and so to call a display of masculinity toxic or sexism is in fact delusional and rather toxic in return. Because to deny and demean qualities that are natural and have been for thousands of years been seen as good things is completely false and needs to be corrected. And perhaps one of the largest reasons why masculinity is so hated in society and pop culture these days is because it creates definition. And as more time passes, I am beginning to realize that above all else, definition is the most hated thing. Masculine qualities differentiate between male and female, and the more I look around, the more it is becoming clear that there are many that view differences as a form of inequality. In using the differences that are inherent in personality between men and women, a man is demonstrating that he is different from his peers, and to the party that is all about identity, this is seen as a sin. People are allowed to be different. They just need to be a certain kind of different in order to fit the standard that is most popular right now. The term inequality has become such a buzzword that people are ascribing to it language that doesn't make sense. But the party of identity has stated that all must be equal, and so to display differences in personality, to be proud of who you are traditionally, to utilize natural personality qualities is not something to be lauded. It is why male characters in movies that are traditionally masculine, warriors, courageous individuals, those who embody a sense of virility in all they do, even the ones that are considered to be clever and cunning, have been reduced to a state of bumbling idiocy, because in the highlighting of their differences, they have shown themselves to be, according to the party of identity, set apart from the masses, and they cannot have that. They have breached a boundary that cannot be crossed in pop culture today, a boundary that distinguishes between the best male qualities and the females who, more increasingly, want to be them. And this creates a sense of resentment amongst the females towards their male counterparts. Everyone admires strength and ambition, independence and assertiveness. But for the reasons stated previously, men can no longer embody those qualities because a small but loud part of society now wishes to control the narrative. There is no crime in being masculine or feminine. There are very different qualities, and both should be celebrated. Or at the very least, both should be treated like the normal things that they are. And perhaps the final reason why masculinity is so hated these days is because it is seen as old-fashioned. It is mocked because it is seen as the qualities of a bygone era, a relic of personality that should be left in the past because it isn't progressive. Maybe that's why male warriors can't fight at all anymore or need help in defeating their foes. There is a belief that men simply cannot and shouldn't do things on their own anymore in this new progressive world that we live in. We cannot honor our masculine heroes because their qualities should not be praised in a society that claims to be all about the empowerment of women. And because it is seen as old-fashioned, true masculinity is regarded as a joke. Each time a masculine figure is demeaned, it is as if society is reaching in to state, "Don't worry, we don't think like that anymore." That sort of mindset no longer has a place in the modern day. Men cannot be warriors anymore because if they are, then women are unequal to them. They can no longer be cunning and smart because it is an insult to the females who need to be that way also. They cannot be courageous because they need to clear the way for the younger feministic generation who have declared that they are to be society's new role models and all relics of the past need to clear out of their way. They cannot be themselves because being masculine has no societal value anymore unless it is coming from a woman. And that is truly a shame. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Post your thoughts down below in the comment section about what other aspects of movies and pop culture that you would like me to talk about, and let's have a conversation about it. Until next time, everyone.